We came across an attractive young girl, 20-something years old, who had already paid the $5,000 to cross the border. But she said she'd probably be there for another week. We asked her if she already had the $5,000 ticket, what she was waiting for the week, and she said very confidently, because my smuggler told me that for an extra $1,500, he would sell me a rape insurance policy in writing. These are some of the stories that we hear and we see.
When the border was continuing to be fortified, migration routes were pushed all the way to Arizona, which had never happened before, which is even more harsh terrain. The operation had to be much bigger because many more people were crossing there, and that's how Humane Borders got started.
Was this here last time?
Yeah. I don't know really how useful that is. That's, each of the station now is numbered.
Well, those are our numbers?
Yeah.
Humane Borders is a faith-based organization that wants to take death out of the immigration equation. We know that every day people cross the desert and die. Even though it's not legal crossing without documents, we don't think that should be a crime punishable by death.
That's right.
We come from a variety of places and we come from a variety of backgrounds. And right now we are standing with a common intent. Let us be about doing good.
We're a cross-section of different faiths. We're inspired by belief in a higher being.
In the name of the Father and of the Son.
But we're not a political organization. If you were out here in the desert and you asked a guy for a drink of water, you really think he'd say no? That's all it's about. It's that simple for us. Every single water station that we have is on a piece of land where the landowner has given us written permission. We're a nonprofit. We do all we can do with what we can afford to do. Donations are what pays our bills. Trucks cost money to buy and to repair and to put gas in. Tanks cost money, water costs money. We have one paid employee, Joel Smith.
As operations manager, I'm the guy that cleans them, I'm the guy that assembles them, and a lot of these I've taken out in the field and set up myself. This baby holds 55 gallons. I have her up on 2x4s on concrete blocks. She's on the roadside, so we can reach it with 100 feet of hose. And basically the water in the barrel, even despite the summer heat, stays fairly cool.
In the early days, we had a dual mission. We had a humanitarian mission and a political mission. In order to be a 501c3, it was obvious we couldn't continue to be political. So we decided to take a different approach. We thought that we would try and find out what part of the desert the deaths were occurring in. And we would document that. Documenting deaths in the desert is difficult because of the size of the desert. You just can't cover it all, and it's not all just flat sand and sagebrush. And that's one of the reasons that we enter into a dialogue with the Border Patrol.
It's tough here where you see people coming across the border and you understand they're coming for a better way of life. This is the land of milk and honey, if you will, but we have a front door, and unfortunately, not everybody's using it. Some of these humanitarian groups we've had great success with. Humane Borders, Border Action Network is one of them. They had an interest, we have an interest. We want to save lives, they want to save lives. So it's one of those things where we came together, we discussed our issues, and see where each side was coming from.
I've known Agent Passman, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. We began collaborating on how to get a message to people while they were still south of the border. We'll look around for signs of life, litter, discarded clothing, but there's no restriction on who can consume this water.
It was really genuine coming from Bob that his concern is really just the folks out there. He wants to save lives. Any kind of water that's out in these environments is going to save a life.
Border Patrol used to have an understanding that we will not touch any form of humanitarian assistance. Now there's a lot more contentiousness.
So you get a good shot. Picking up this trash somebody left on the trail.
What they showed was very old. It's already been a directive out to the stations for a while now, not to tamper with drops like that, water. What's a little disconcerting is the fact that some of the information they had on there was, I think, a video from last year. Well, that's the first time we're seeing it. If we have an agent out there in the field doing something wrong, we want to know about them. We have a complaint management system in place where we've messaged to them that that's the route we really want folks to take. But again, we can't work in a vacuum. Saving lives should be everybody's job.
Initially, it was about becoming a law enforcement officer or agent, but I wanted to be able to help people. As a Border Patrol agent, I can help the United States secure the border, but then also I can help the people coming across the border live another day, because that's important.
Biggest misconception I think people get is they're full of bad guys, and it hurts me. It's not true. Have you ever been a member of law enforcement and you've never had a job where you've had to agree to take a bullet for your employer?
I think they're looking for someone around here.
And if you want to talk about dangers in the desert, you can talk a lot about the dangers that everyone face, whether they're the people here without the documents or the people in uniform.
See that water tower right there? There's a flat thing, it's kind of like a water tank. There's 2 people on there walking back and forth, and those are scouts.
You never know what you're stepping into. If there's multiple people, if they're armed, if they're carrying narcotics. Yes, individuals look like they've been on the desert, they look tired, but we don't know who we have.
See, like these right here, there's some place where they originated a tunnel, they dug under, and then they punched up right here. So they have a car parked here, and they load drugs up and then kind of close it back up. Nogales is actually where the most tunnels on the southwest border are.
The cartels run the smuggling now. It's not the mom and pop anymore. And these smugglers, like I said, they're ruthless. They're taking them out to these areas that are very remote. The smugglers will treat them like cattle, and if they fall behind, they leave them behind. Our mission is our mission. Once we come across an individual, we have to take enforcement action. But again, we want to do our job as humanely as possible.
I don't think it's a question of good or bad Border Patrol. I think it's a question of a strategy that isn't really dealing with the root cause. What we're not doing is finding ways to stabilize the economy, trying to elevate the standard of living. That would stop migration a lot faster than a wall.
More than 85% of the illegal immigrants we catch crossing the southern border are Mexicans, and most are sent back home within 24 hours. But when we catch illegal immigrants from other countries, it is not as easy to send them back home.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up.
Is a political construct. It's a way for a politician to look tough. And you use a scapegoat that doesn't speak up and defend themselves. One can say, well, they're taking their life into their own hands. But that's a person who doesn't understand poverty. People are still desperate.
These are real human beings. These people out here without documents are in danger, and our people in uniform are also in danger. The politics of the desert have dehumanized all of the above into nothing, I think, more than just pawns on a chessboard.